Hello everybody, welcome back to Screenstars. Welcome to another PlayStation review. Today's review is for FIFA 23 on the PlayStation 5. Now, more specifically, this is the career mode on the PlayStation 5. Now, like many of you that are probably watching this, I generally pick up the FIFA game each year, even though every year we kind of regret it because it's essentially a reskin of the game from the previous year with a few minor improvements here and there. Honestly, guys, that is no different this time. If I'm right from the off, this essentially is FIFA 22 with a new coat of paint, should we say. But I never pick FIFA 23 up to play any other mode other than the career mode. So if you're watching this hoping to pick up anything on Ultimate Team or any of the other stuff, create your own team, all that kind of stuff, you're not going to get it here because I don't play them modes, generally speaking, at all. I only ever really go on career mode, generally speaking. So that is just, I'm kind of laser focusing this review on just this mode. Now, what do we get different? Let me cover really some of the differences that we get here. And, I've been playing this since the moment it came out. I've played a lot of it, and I think I've seen what I think are the major differences from last year to this year. There may be some other subtle changes that I personally haven't really picked up on. I don't deep dive into all the data and all the adjustments of formations and all that kind of stuff. For the most part, if I'm being really brutally honest, this feels and looks exactly the same like last year's game in many, many ways. Yes, the menus and the UI look slightly differently to last year. But it still feels immediately familiar to anybody. They have adjusted things here and there, but it looks very, very similar to last year. Now, straight off the bat, when you go into the career mode, you can now choose to be a real-life manager. So what I mean by that is you can go in whichever team you choose, and I've chosen Man United because I support Manchester United. But if you choose Man City, Liverpool, whatever, you can choose to create your own manager, be yourself in the game, or you could choose to be the real-life manager in the game, which is the first time that's happened, which I think is pretty cool. Although it is worth saying that not all the managers' likenesses are in the game. This person here, you can see, is supposed to be Erik ten Hag. That's pretty poor, EA. You know what I mean? He's been in charge of Manchester United for a number of months now. I think you could probably have pointed to someone in the office and says, please do a likeness of Ten Hag in the new FIFA game, because the Man United fans are going to be pretty disappointed if they don't get it. And they've put no effort in and done that. And it's the same with some other managers as well. Quite a lot of managers do have their likeness in the game. Many of them don't. Another difference that I've noticed is there are some more new cutscenes. Take that as you will. They're the same cutscenes pretty much. So you get it when you buy a new player, for example, you get the same old negotiation screens that we've seen in the last few years. The negotiation with the manager and then the negotiation with the player and his agent. There is now a new animation where when you buy a player, it shows them arriving at the ground, meeting the manager. Sometimes it's another cutscene where they meet the manager and stuff, and they do a bit of training, meet some of the teammates, and show off the shirt for the media. And it's the same kind of cutscenes over and over again. There's another cutscene when you sell a player. It shows them leaving the ground with some sullen music, looking pretty depressed, which is highly amusing if you end up selling Harry Maguire, but let's be honest, most Man United fans are going to do. So there's a few new cutscenes here and there. There is obviously the opportunity to play women's football and stuff this year, if that's what you want to do. There's also the new Richmond, from Ted Lasso. That team's in there if you want to do that as well, which I think is a nice addition, if I'm honest. It's pretty cool. Is it a game seller? Probably not, but it is a nice addition to say the least. I think personally, for me, other than the coat of polish that they've put on, a fresh coat of paint here and there, and a few new cutscenes, the majority of everything else kind of looks and plays the same. Like I say, you do get a rating as well when you buy a player. It'll give you a rating of, if you've done really well and it's a really good deal, it'll tell you. It'll rate it an A. If you could have negotiated a better deal, it'll give you down to an F, depending on how it thinks you've done. And it's the same when you sell a player. You get rated for that as well when you sell a player. So, I mean, okay, those are fairly nice additions, I suppose. You can do everything else in the game that you want to do, that you could do last year. There's very little changes. But for me, I think what has really, really improved the game this year and made it better and more enjoyable for me is the fact now that you can skip the games, you can sim the games, you can play the games, or this new edition, which I think is brilliant, you can now play the highlights. So if you're one of these players, and this is me entirely, I don't like playing the full games because to be honest, I'm not that good at FIFA playing them. I prefer management games. So you can now actually play the highlights, and it gives you the choice as to whether you want to play the full highlights to see if you can get the result you want, or just play the attacking highlights. If you're not very good at defending, you can just choose to do the attacking highlights for your team. I think this has really drastically changed the game. Because it makes the game more digestible. You can play a lot of the games and just play the highlights, and you get every time there's a chance of an attack or a corner or a penalty or anything kind of like that, you get the opportunity to take charge, jump in and have a go at seeing if you can get a goal from that outcome or defend the team attacking your goal. I think it's a brilliant addition. And for me, it's the only edition this year that really stands out. For me, it's made the game more enjoyable because most of the time playing FIFA previously, the last couple of years, I've mainly just simmed the game. So it's almost like a football manager type of game. Because I genuinely don't like playing FIFA because I'm not that good at it. If I put it on like world class or something, I'm going to get hammered most times. I ain't got the patience and I'm not that good at it. So I kind of now just kind of play the highlights, and you can see here on screen now. It kind of jumps into the highlights. It gives you a 3-second intro to the highlight, and then you get the opportunity to try and get the goal that you need, sort of thing. It's pretty cool, and it can be quite tense as well, because there was a penalty shootout in one of my games, the Carabao Cup, that got really, really tense. That was really good. There's other games as well that you're desperate to win, sort of thing, and you might just end up getting a draw. And if you'd have played the full game, you might have really got the result you needed. But with the highlights, you've got to really take advantage of the highlights and the opportunity it gives you to score goals. And if you don't, it can be quite frustrating. But I really like it. It's a really good addition this year. But overall, if I'm being really honest, guys, is FIFA 23 worth the pretty much £70 price tag? Of course it's not worth that. It is essentially a reskin. Have they made any massive improvements to where the game plays? I couldn't honestly tell you because I don't play it that much. It feels exactly the same to me. It looks exactly the same to me. Doesn't look any different or any better really from last year. The presentation is always good with the EA FIFA games, so just depends if you want to stump up the price tag that it's asking. If you're interested in FIFA and you really enjoy playing all the modes, and it might be worth considering. If you're just interested in the career mode, the best addition to me, as I've said, is playing the highlights. It does make it much, much better. But overall, I can't really score this one more than a 7 out of 10 because I don't think it's worth the money anyway. Certainly not worth £70. But if you're a massive fan of football and you like to play FIFA, then there are some pretty neat new additions, but nothing that really make it a game seller. So apparently this is the last one. They're changing it from next year to probably some kind of pay-to-win model, knowing EA. We'll see what they do next year, but this is like the last traditional FIFA game, I think. So we'll see what we get on the horizon next year. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this review, and I hope you found it useful, especially if you enjoyed playing career mode. And I will, of course, be back with loads more content on the channel very, very soon.